We begin not with a man, but with a place. The airport terminal. This is a structure of pure transition, a non-place, designed specifically for people not to stay. It is the definitive liminal space of the modern world, a sterilized purgatory between origin and destination. It is into this antiseptic void that Viktor Navorski, portrayed by Tom Hanks, descends. He arrives at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport with a simple smile, a rudimentary grasp of English, and a mysterious Planters Peanuts can. But while he was in the air, suspended between earth and sky, the very concept of his home, the fictional Eastern European nation of Krakozhia, evaporated in a violent coup. This is the central, brilliant absurdity upon which the entire narrative is built. Viktor is not a criminal. He is not sick. He is, quite simply, unacceptable. He cannot enter the United States because the United States no longer recognizes the passport he holds. He cannot be flown back to his origin, because his origin, in a geopolitical sense, no longer exists. He has become a paradox, a non-person trapped by the very rules designed to categorize people. The film immediately introduces his antagonist, who is not a person so much as an ideology. Stanley Tucci's Frank Dixon is the embodiment of bureaucratic inertia. Dixon is not overtly evil. He is pathologically obsessed with order, with rules, with the smooth, sterile operation of his domain. Viktor is a human error in Dixon's perfect system, a problem that cannot be filed. Dixon's attempts to deal with Viktor are a masterclass in passive aggression. He doesn't arrest Viktor. He simply explains the legal checkmate. He offers Viktor asylum, knowing the man's pride won't let him lie and declare he is afraid of his home. Dixon even arranges for guards to abandon their posts, tempting Viktor to illegally step onto American soil, an act that would transfer the problem from Dixon's jurisdiction to another. But Viktor does not break. He waits, and it is in this act of waiting that the film's humanist heart begins to beat. The terminal transforms from a high-concept dilemma into a story of profound adaptation, a sort of bureaucratic Robinson Crusoe. Spielberg, ever the master of visual storytelling, shows us rather than tells us how Viktor survives. He discovers that he can earn quarters for returning baggage carts, which he uses to buy food from Burger King. When that loophole is closed by Dixon, he observes construction workers and, through sheer ingenuity and observation, proves himself a skilled carpenter, eventually earning an unofficial, under-the-table job. He meticulously deconstructs airport travel guides and television news reports, teaching himself English. He finds a forgotten, under-renovation gate, Gate 67, and builds himself a home. He learns the rhythms of the building, the schedules of the staff, the personalities of its transient population. This adaptation allows the film to pivot into its richest thematic territory, the terminal as a microcosm of the American immigrant experience. The sterile, non-place, becomes a vibrant, complex community. Viktor, the man who belongs nowhere, paradoxically becomes the most permanent and essential resident. He becomes the hub for a wheel of other displaced souls, the airport staff who exist in the background of global travel. There is Gupta, the janitor from India, brilliantly played by Kumar Pallana, who is perpetually mopping floors while hiding from a past legal transgression. There is Diego Luna's Enrique Cruz, a food service worker desperately in love with Zoe Saldaña's Officer Torres, a Trekkie immigration agent. Viktor becomes their mediator, their confidant, their courier, famously carrying messages between the two until they are united. He becomes the stable center for a world defined by motion. Into this world flies Amelia Warren, portrayed by Catherine Zeta-Jones. She is, in many ways, as trapped as Viktor. She is a flight attendant, a woman whose entire life is defined by transit, but she is emotionally grounded, stuck in a hopeless affair with a married man. She represents the illusion of mobility, the foil to Viktor's physical stasis. Their romance is gentle, underdeveloped, and appropriately melancholic. It cannot truly exist outside the terminal walls. She sees Viktor as a symbol of patience and purity, a man waiting for something, but she is ultimately too entangled in her own complex, real-world problems to join him in his simplified existence. Their connection is one of shared loneliness, a brief intersection of two lives stalled for different reasons. Of course, this is a Steven Spielberg film, and it is impossible to discuss his work without acknowledging its masterful craft and its polarizing sentimentality. The entire terminal was a massive, fully functional set, built in an airplane hangar. This practical achievement allows Spielberg and his longtime cinematographer, Janusz Kaminski, to create a world that feels both hyper-real and magically isolated. The lighting shifts from the cold, fluorescent blue of bureaucratic sterility to the warm, honey-colored light that envelops Victor's found family at Gate 67. The score, by the indispensable John Williams, avoids grand swells, opting for a lighter, jazz-inflected clarinet theme that perfectly captures Victor's bittersweet, curious, and resilient nature. Critics of the film often point to this Spielbergian warmth as a flaw, suggesting it softens the terrifying, Kafkaesque reality of Victor's situation. They argue that a truly stateless person would face a much darker, more brutal fate. This criticism is valid, but it perhaps misses the point. The Terminal is not a gritty documentary, it is a fable. It chooses to believe that humanity, ingenuity, and community can bloom even in the most sterile cracks of a concrete system. The entire endeavor, Victor's months-long endurance test, is ultimately revealed to be for a purpose that is both profoundly simple and heartbreakingly significant. The mystery of the planter's peanuts can be solved. Victor is not waiting to defect, to immigrate, or to start a new life. He is waiting to fulfill a promise to his deceased father. His father, a jazz enthusiast, had spent his life collecting the autographs of the 57 great musicians featured in the "A Great Day in Harlem" photograph. He died before he could get the final one, tenor saxophonist Benny Golson. Victor has come to New York simply to find Benny Golson, get the last autograph, and seal the can, completing his father's life's work. This revelation recontextualizes the entire film. The colossal conflict between the global superpowers, the crushing weight of international law, the coldness of Frank Dixon, all of it is set against the purity of a son's love for his father. The system sees Victor as a geopolitical anomaly. The audience sees him as a man on a holy mission. When the war in Krakozhia finally ends, Victor is legally free to go home. Dixon, however, in a final act of bureaucratic spite, refuses to sign the one-day emergency visa that would allow Victor to enter the city, insisting he return home immediately. It is here that the community Victor built repays him. Gupta, the janitor, overcomes his own fear and runs in front of Victor's plane, delaying its departure. The other staff members, led by Officer Torres, defy Dixon, allowing Victor to finally pass through the doors. Viktor Navorski steps into New York City. It is snowing. He takes a cab to the hotel where Benny Golson is performing. He gets the autograph. His mission is complete. He looks at the New York skyline, the very symbol of the dream he never actually wanted, and tells the taxi driver, "I am going home." He has conquered the system not by defeating it, but by simply outweighting it, by holding on to a purpose smaller, and therefore stronger, than the rules themselves. The Terminal is a story about the absurdity of borders and the resilience of the human spirit, a powerful, if gentle, reminder that a home is not always a place on a map, but a promise you keep in your heart.